with that kind of talent, that extraordinary genius talent, and then sabotage yourself?
Maybe she never wanted fame.
Perfection is a battle you'll never win.
You can have fame and the most beautiful voice in the world and still feel a hell inside.
I don't think Karen Carpenter's true story has really been told.
You can't stop. The only way you can stop is die.
We've only just begun to live.
Hi, Randy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, man. Thanks for joining me to talk about your new documentary about Karen Carpenter. And I am telling you, I'm Generation X. So watching your documentary, my childhood memories have been coming back I haven't thought of in decades, because I can't tell you, first of all, what a tremendous force she was, the Carpenters were when I was a kid. We had the 8-tracks, every variety show from Donnie and Marie to you name it, the Carpenters were everywhere. And they were my childhood. They were a huge part of my childhood. So seeing this documentary, while it's brought back wonderful memories and also tragic ones, it's just what an amazing experience this movie was.
Well, I envy you just a little bit because I was just a few years behind that and missed a lot of the Carpenters' heyday, having been born in 1975. And luckily, though, on January 1st, 1989, I saw the TV movie, The Karen Carpenter Story, and fell head over heels for the voice and the story all at once. And that's what kicked it off for me.
Well, it's important that you recognize her music and just how important it was. And tell me about the history of this film, where it all began for you.
It really kind of all goes back to that TV movie, if we want to trace it back to the very root. The next day after seeing that, I was in the local public library and researching, finding the old People magazine articles and things like that, trying to learn all that I had missed firsthand. And that research continued for many years after that, never with the intent of a book or a film or anything like that. But in the 1990s, I sort of became the internet Carpenters guru. Nobody else had taken that title for for whatever reason. And I made a lot of great friendships really all around the world with other Carpenters fans. And it was with their support and trust and encouragement that I did the book Little Girl Blue, The Life of Karen Carpenter, that came out in 2010. And it's that book that the producer, our executive producer, Andy Streitfeld, read back around the time it came out. And then several years later, he found out that I was just up the road from him, and he's in Dallas, Texas, and I am an elementary music teacher in Denton, Texas. So he reached out and said, we should work together. I've always been a fan of Carpenters, and let's see if we can find a new and different way into her story. And that's where it began.
And for this documentary, there must have been a treasure trove of footage and finding all these incredible performances and interviews. Was there anything that really surprised you that you discovered while researching for this film?
I think my favorite discovery is that we were able to find a lot of never before heard interviews with Karen, things that were maybe done for a radio show, and they might have used just a couple of minutes of it. And then we actually went and found the source tapes for that. So we found the unedited source tapes and were able to bring these things back. Well, not even back, bring these things out of the archives and to the public. And we get to hear Karen's story in her own voice. She's kind of the ribbon that ties this whole documentary together.
That's what's amazing about this film, is that I don't remember any interviews with her, maybe just like on a variety show or something, but nothing such in depth or something when you hear her own emotions and her own thoughts. So that's just, I think that's my favorite part of this documentary.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, because that was really, I think, the big find for us. A lot of things that we had no idea she had even said, and they were just buried in archives of different radio DJs and interviewers around the country.
And also what's fascinating about the documentary, she was so well loved and respected. New interviews from celebrated musicians and artists and writers. I mean, it's like a who's who: Carol Burnett, Belinda Carlisle, Kristen Chenoweth. I mean, was it easy to get them to come on camera to talk about Karen Carpenter?
Surprisingly, yes, it was easier than we thought. And I think that goes to show people's affection for Karen and the music, because the people that we were able to reach were very enthusiastic about wanting to be part of her legacy and feeling like that if they could contribute something in that way to this documentary, then maybe they would be associated with her memory in that way too.
And it's such a loss losing her at 32 years old and getting down to 89 pounds. I mean, I remember vividly, no one ever heard of such a disease at the time. And she was, nobody understood what was going on, right?
I mean, I don't think that it was a completely unknown thing, but really the experts on it during Karen's time hadn't been experts for very long. It was just starting to make its way out into the vernacular. The first time the Carpenter family heard of the words anorexia nervosa were in a 1975 Reader's Digest article. And so there were mentions of it here and there, but still nobody knew it could be deadly. And unfortunately, it was Karen's untimely death that alerted people to the severity of this, and that it really could be something that could be life-ending.
Yeah, and it was always, when it came to the Carpenters, it was always Karen Carpenter, right? But Richard was always an enigma, right? He's just, nobody knew anything about him, or he just wasn't always front and center like Karen was.
Well, she really, as someone says in the doc, they said her star really began to eclipse his. And within the family, he was always seen as the golden boy and this budding musical prodigy. And even Karen, from the time she was a little girl, was kind of trained by example of her parents, especially her mother. This is how we treat Richard, and this is how we support Richard, because he's going to be this famous musician. And then Karen was the musical surprise of the family. And in the public, she definitely was the star. And he was, hey, who's that guy, the piano player? Which, of course, he did much more than play piano for the Carpenters. He was an incredible arranger, so talented as a producer. And but Karen was his biggest cheerleader because she felt that he wasn't getting the credit that was due him.
And of course, now all your great efforts for this film, making the rounds to all the film festivals. And what's the reaction been like seeing it with audiences?
Well, seeing it on the big screen for the first time was kind of nice, because when you just look at something on your laptop and you're editing in small bays and things with people, you don't get the full effect. And so for me, that was an overwhelming and happy moment to see that up on the big screen. And to look out over the audiences and see the reactions has been, just over this past weekend, has been really special, because people have been touched, people have been moved. And it's just really incredible to see the people embrace this in the way that they have, and hear the comments and things in the talkbacks afterwards.
Like I said, Randy, I just memories and feelings I haven't felt since I was a child. I've been rediscovering her music, and just that voice, unlike anything that I've ever heard, so congratulations, man. What a great documentary. And I appreciate your time and effort and your passion, and good luck with the film.
Thank you so much. Great to visit with you.